I might wait till 1:02 and then start off. All right. Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar titled Austin Energy Green Building Rating Systems. This webinar is presented by the IBPSA-USA Research Committee. Today's session will also be recorded and available through the IBPSA-USA YouTube channel. And if you're joining us through YouTube, welcome to our listeners there as well. If you have any issues hearing the presentation, please try calling in by phone instead of using the computer audio. A few housekeeping facts before we start the webinar. This is a Zoom webinar, so you will be muted and off camera during the session. But please feel free to participate by posting questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, or by entering any comments into the chat. By default, the chat is set to send just to the presenters, so be sure to click the down arrow next to the chat and select all panelists and attendees if you would like everyone to see what you're typing. We welcome your questions, thoughts, and ideas as we continue to work towards IBPSA-USA's mission of fostering buildings through simulation. And if you are interested in joining the research committee or any of its subgroups, please contact me or post in the chat so we could get you hooked up. So those are the housekeeping items. Today's speaker for us is going to be Heidi Kasper from Austin Energy. Welcome, Heidi. Heidi Kasper currently serves as the Interim Green Building and Sustainability Manager for Austin Energy Green Buildings, AEGB, the award-winning program credited with developing the first green building rating in the country. AEGB provides design tools and rates the sustainability of new and remodeled buildings for single-family, multifamily, and commercial projects. The program contributes to Austin Energy's energy efficiencies and demand reduction goals, as well as promoting and supporting other City of Austin sustainability goals through education, ratings, and codes. Heidi has over 20 years experience in building design and sustainability. She has taken a lead role in the development of several rating iterations and energy code adoptions. She has also presented on a variety of sustainability topics at local and national conferences. Prior to working for Austin Energy, Heidi worked as a project architect and lead coordinator on a variety of LEED certified projects. She's a registered architect in Texas, holds a Master of Architecture from the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and is a LEED accredited professional in building design and construction. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our speaker. Heidi, stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Gokul. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be here. I'm going to bring up and share my slides. Get this going. Well, then I think I'm sharing the wrong slide.
No issues.
That one more time. Here we go. That look better?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Sorry about that. So as Gokul said, I'm Heidi Kasper. I am the interim manager for green building and sustainability at Austin Energy. Austin Energy is a municipally owned electric utility, so we are actually a department of the city of Austin. And it is a real pleasure to be able to share with you the work we've been doing through that program and how we're working to achieve the ambitious sustainability goals of the city of Austin. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera while I'm doing the presentation. I can figure out how to do that. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just leave it. Okay, so the agenda for today, and what I thought I would share with you is a little bit of history and the goals of the program. I'll talk a bit about the impact, the rating structure, and then we'll dive into the different rating categories and some mini case studies of how these rating ideas translate in the actual projects themselves. And then at the end, we should have plenty of time for some Q&A, and we can get deeper into any of the topics that are of interest to this audience. So in terms of history, we got started with a bunch of community involvement and a grant from the Department of Energy, and used that grant to develop the first single-family green building rating in the country. That was back in 1991. We followed shortly thereafter with a commercial rating in 1995 and a multifamily rating in 1998. And the ratings have served as a model for many other cities, as well as USGBC's LEED certification system, which most of us are familiar with. Of note, the first Green Build conference was held here in Austin back in 2002. Ever since the early 90s, we've been updating those ratings periodically as one of the tools we use for meeting a variety of city goals. And we use the ratings as a place to try out different ideas before we codify them. This has happened with construction waste management, our wildland urban interface code, in addition to various iterations of energy code. And so we also work through education and outreach, and the advocacy and planning is really about policy and codes. But we definitely find that education and outreach are also integral to our mission. So the city has a number of plans and policies outlining some very ambitious sustainability goals, such as those in Austin Energy's resource generation plan, Water Forward, which is our water resource plan, our zero waste plan, and the climate equity plan, to name a few. Probably the overarching goal is to equitably reach net zero community-wide greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. The ratings are just one tool, as I said, that we use to support the goals and strategies in the plans. And then we combine those with our educational offerings to support other city goals and strategic initiatives around the quality of life. So promotion of healthier indoor and outdoor environments, promotion of transportation options that work for everybody, increasing human health and well-being, and improving construction worker health and safety. We offer ratings for new construction and major renovation projects. Like I said, those are across the single-family, multifamily, commercial building sectors. Our participating projects are within our Austin Energy service area. And then we do offer an extended area rating program for single-family homes in a 27-county surrounding metro area. That was largely a demand from builders. They wanted to be able to apply one program wherever they were building. So we train extended area raters to administer the program in those areas. We also offer the rating for multifamily commercial projects outside of Austin Energy's service area, provided that they are still within the city of Austin. and are working under a development agreement with the city. We provide resources to participating projects and teams. We try and amplify their achievement, feature them in educational programs like this, plaques, and different networking events. And we will feature them in our own education series. So we do a bi-monthly professional education series. I just came from that earlier today, and often try and feature our project teams there. The HEB rating measures encourage above code designs, and thus they help us inform the development of City of Austin codes. The one that we primarily work on ourselves is the energy code. We get our participation primarily through zoning incentives. So we aren't actually paying anybody to participate with us, unlike many other utility programs. We, being a part of the City of Austin, allows us to incentivize through zoning. So that's where a lot of our participation comes. Folks that want to get a planned urban district zoning, green building comes as one of the things that the city asks for in exchange for that. We also have a longstanding policy that for city subsidized affordable housing, particularly the city's smart housing program, the rating participation is included in that. So we're providing fee waivers and financial incentives for affordable housing, but we want that affordable housing to be quality housing, and we want it to be affordable to own and operate as well. So that's another place where we get participation. Our 32-year history has resulted in over 20,000 rated projects across those 3 building sectors, and they have had a really broad impact. So about 20 to 30% of new construction in Austin earns an Austin Energy Green Building rating. And we like to measure that, right? So we've been reporting impacts from our rating programs and energy code adoptions since 2007. The energy code has been advancing from the 2000 IECC to today. We are on the 2021 IECC, and our ratings continue to evolve with that. Right now, we are looking at launching probably a stakeholder process in the spring when the 2024 IECC is published, and looking to shepherd that adoption here locally too. But yes, as a utility, the primary things that the utility cares about are that demand savings, and to some extent the electricity savings. We do measure natural gas savings. Austin Energy does not provide natural gas for an electric only utility, but we do track that. We look at solar PV generation. We have solar rebate programs, but we look at how many of the rated projects are participating in that and using PV. The CO2 savings, carbon equivalent savings, we're trying to figure out how we move to greenhouse gas or carbon equivalent savings moving forward. So that's the transition we're in as a utility right now. Water savings and construction waste diversion. The way that the ratings are set up, all of the 3 different ratings are set up with a series of basic requirements that all of the projects have to achieve in order to earn a rating. These are similar to your prerequisites in a LEED rating system. If a project meets all of the basic requirements, they earn a 1-star rating. And then the number of additional points earned determines the star rating. It goes from 1 to 5. The total number of points you need to earn varies a bit across the 3 different ratings. The point scale here is for our current commercial rating. And then we have the different rating categories as well. So energy, health, site, materials, resources, water, education, and equity. We'll start by diving into the site category. The site category is aimed to sync a building with its surroundings. The category addresses issues of neighborhood context, transportation, sustainable site design. In the latest update to the rating, we were looking to rebalance the level of achievement awarded to projects for site selection and focus more on what a project site can contribute to its surrounding neighborhood and environment. I think it's probably interesting to note that we don't rate neighborhoods, but because of the way that our incentive structure works, where we are requiring ratings for planned urban districts, that oftentimes the rating ends up having a neighborhood scale impact. So what is pictured here is the Miller neighborhood, and LEED, who does have a neighborhood rating, Miller went through that process, and they are a LEED for neighborhood development gold certified community. All of the buildings at Miller are required to earn a green building rating. Single family homes are required to earn a 3-star Austin Energy Green Building rating, and the commercial and multifamily properties have a choice between the Austin Energy rating or LEED. Many of them have actually earned both. The neighborhood master plan has been a public-private partnership between the city of Austin and Catellus Development. It's a 700-acre redevelopment of our former airport into a health-focused master plan community. It's just 3 miles from downtown Austin. So it was a brownfield site that required remediation prior to redevelopment. The development has reserved 140 acres, or 20% of the total development area, for parks and open space. 15,000 trees have been planted. Tree-lined sidewalks, protected bike lanes all provide shade and connect to a comprehensive trail system, retail and recreational parks to encourage walking and biking. Residents can access those hike and bike paths to access parks, swimming pools, businesses, restaurants, transit stops, soon a middle school, all within walking distance of their home. And a series of stormwater detention ponds were integrated into Miller's landscaped green belts and parks, and those were sized to manage the stormwater runoff for the entire Miller site. So each of the individual projects actually get credit for a lot of these strategies that were developed on a development-wide basis. So the master developer and Catellus did these strategies, and so each of the individual projects are awarded some of those points to start off with. To the energy category, this is the one this audience is probably most used to measuring. So in the energy category, we are looking at strategies that promote energy efficiency, reduce emissions, use of renewable energy sources. We're also incorporating strategies that help buildings participate in demand management to help manage peak loads on the grid. That's something that's been very important here in Texas. I think nationwide, people now have heard of ERCOT after what happened back in 2021 with the winter storm Uri and the major blackouts that we had here in Texas. So trying to avoid that, utilities are paying a lot of attention to how individual buildings can contribute through better and more flexible demand side management. This is our own Austin Energy headquarters building, pictured here, and it's actually located in the Miller neighborhood that I just talked about. Some of the things that we did on our own building, we're trying to walk our talk. So we started with a super energy efficient envelope. Another thing that we were able to take advantage of here is that we have a thermal cooling plant. So we have a district cooling loop, and we tapped into that for our cooling and used that in a chilled beam system. So that allows us to make ice and deliver cool we make the ice when energy prices are really low, usually in the middle of the night, and then we can deliver that cool water for air conditioning use in the day when those prices are higher. We have daylight responsive LED lighting throughout the building and over 500 kilowatt rooftop solar array. So the privilege to get to work at the building here, and it's also nice to work someplace where we are trying to provide the same example. If we're going to ask it of our customers, we're going to live it ourselves. Also of note, so we subscribe to Green Choice, which is an Austin Energy program subscription program. And it's the longest running voluntary renewable energy program in Texas. Austin Energy purchases Texas wind to match 100% of the usage for our Green Choice subscribers. The energy use intensity on this building came out to less than 16 kBTU per square foot. So super energy efficient building. And we're offsetting the rest with purchased carbon offsets. So we so far have been claiming zero carbon operations on this building. I thought I would dive a little bit into the whole building energy analysis. So the commercial and multifamily ratings offer a whole building energy analysis pathway to earning a rating. We use ASHRAE 90.1 as our baseline. Right now, that is the ASHRAE 90.1 2019 Appendix G. So this is kind of aligned with the 2021 IECC standard. So for our low-rise multifamily projects, that's the standard they use. Rating measures that affect the model inputs include your indoor water reduction that serves hot water fixtures, your appliances, ventilation, and daylighting controls. We developed in-house something we call the energy analysis summary form, and this is for modelers to document their model inputs and results. Energy modelers have been using a version of this form for many years now and have provided us feedback on its ease of use. It provides a consistent means of documenting the model inputs and results. And then we also build in some calculators to that. So we build in calculators to allow the modeler to determine the dwelling unit lighting for residential, looking at residential appliances and that service hot water savings there. There's calculators for parking, garage ventilation, and district cooling energy use. So things to make it easier to figure out the savings for the design strategies in those areas. All right, so moving on to water, with our population increase, our drought, other disruptions, the long-term stability and sustainability of our drinking water supply is a little bit at risk. So the water section of our rating looks to promote water conserving fixtures and appliances designed to better detect and manage leaks and waterways, encourage alternate water sources for uses that do not require potable water. So for instance, a reclaimed water system or using AC condensate or rainwater or other sources. And then also looking at strategies to better manage stormwater and related flooding. So we tend to get a lot of rain all at once, so flooding is also an issue here. Austin's One Water approach asks the design community to consider and manage all water holistically. Pictured here in the slide is the dock classroom for the Holdsworth Center, which was designed as a retreat for public educators. It sits on Lake Austin, which is a water reservoir on the Colorado River. It's one of the 7 highland lakes created by the Lower Colorado River Authority, and it's used for flood control, electrical power generation, and recreation. So the resource we want to protect. A standout example in the water category, show you a single family version here. This is the steward's residence at Travis Audubon's 715-acre Baker Sanctuary. It was designed by Select Home Design and built by Saluna Builders. It is part of the Balcones Canyonlands Preserve. That Baker Sanctuary is a protected habitat for birds and other wildlife, and the land steward's residence and storage barn were designed purposely to align with the organization's values of respect for the land, habitat, and environment. The residence here and the 1,800 square foot barn are closely situated so that both of those rooftops harvest into a 31,000 gallon rainwater system. You combine that rainwater system along with efficient plumbing fixtures and household appliances. It reduces water such that, in this case, the rainwater system is the home's sole water source. Another key to that achievement is using only the native landscape such that no irrigation is necessary. So there's definitely no turf grass at this home. Into the health. There we go. The health category, we call this indoor environmental quality category in the commercial rating. We polled our residential stakeholders and they felt like health resonated a little better. But the intent is largely the same. In this category, we're focused on strategies that improve and enhance occupant comfort, health, and productivity. So it includes strategies that improve your indoor air quality, address both mental and physical health, material choice, ventilation, acoustics, and lighting all play a part. According to the EPA, health effects associated with indoor air pollutants include irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, headaches, dizziness, and fatigue, respiratory diseases, heart disease, and cancer. So it affects, I think, our health in ways that are maybe not self-evident. Research in this area continues to evolve, but a number of studies, including a fairly recent one at Harvard University, suggest that carbon dioxide and VOCs may affect our cognitive abilities, such as problem solving and decision making. Other studies show that daylight can boost occupant productivity, provide comfort, and enhance circadian rhythms, which is all linked to improved sleep, and improved sleep is linked to a whole other host of health outcomes. This category is one of the harder ones to measure. It's been subject to issues of regrettable substitution. So a long history of focusing on VOCs, which has been rather successful, but then come to find out that material products are just substituting that with SVOCs that might actually be even more harmful. So one of the ways that we're looking at this category today is simply increased transparency, promoting use of tools like health product declaration. In the slide pictured is Roosevelt Gardens. This is a 5-star project designed by Hatch, Yolando, and Architects for the nonprofit Project Transitions. Roosevelt Gardens is the transitional home for residents who are both HIV positive and have experienced chronic homelessness. All of the residents at this property have compounding health concerns. And so as supportive housing for that population, a mantra of the design was housing is healthcare. The long-term well-being of the residents was the most important consideration in this project. To help protect indoor air quality, the project used flow-emitting paints, coatings, sealants, adhesives, and flooring. They included vented range hoods that were provided to exhaust the heat, humidity, and smoke and other cooking byproducts to the outside. Access to daylight and views of nature were included in all units. The central prominent location of the stairway that you see here is deliberate to encourage movement and activity throughout the day by making that stair an easy to locate and instinctual choice. All right, so materials and resources, slightly different than the health category. The city of Austin has a zero waste by 2040 plan that was unanimously adopted by our city council back in 2011. The plan addresses demolition, waste construction, waste and operational recycling. Many of the strategies, once considered innovative, have been mainstreamed now in Austin and are required by local code and enforced by Austin Resource Recovery. Measures in this category encourage project teams to look at materials holistically using a life cycle approach. We are looking now at things like environmental product declarations or EPDs as a standardized way of communicating material life cycle impacts, including global warming potential. Our latest climate equity plan includes a goal to reduce embodied carbon by 40%. So those are the kind of issues that we're looking at here. So looking at circular economy, durability, embodied carbon, and that holistic view of the environmental impact of the materials chosen. The Mary Elizabeth Branch Park Pavilion used sustainable and durable materials throughout. They were able to divert, I think, over 90% of the construction waste generated. They took into consideration strategies like exposing all of the concrete floors and columns so that your structural finish was your also your finished project finish, so you didn't have two products. They used a high fly ash content to lower the carbon impact of the concrete. And it also, using that concrete floor in a building like this was also done deliberately to increase the building durability. Exposed steel roof structure contained a high percentage of recycled content as well. The education and equity category. So this is probably the newest category to our ratings. The City of Austin Climate Equity Plan that I mentioned was developed using an equity tool to examine how racial equity is centered in the plan's goals and strategies. Outcomes of these strategies for low-income communities and communities of color include a just transition of economic benefits and building community capacity through strengthening the skills, abilities, and resources that a community needs to survive, adapt, and thrive. So in this category, we are looking to recognize strategies that address those outcomes for both users of the building, as well as those working in the construction of the building. One of the examples is the idea of inclusive restrooms, so shown here, incorporated again into that Mary Elizabeth Branch Park Pavilion project. The intent behind that strategy is to promote equal access to restroom facilities for all people, including gender non-conforming individuals, those experiencing homelessness, those with mobility restrictions, those who need a personal attendant, or just have children, to improve the comfort, safety, and privacy for all users of restrooms. The City of Austin also, as I mentioned, has that smart housing program, which provides developers incentives in exchange for on-site income restricted units. All of the projects participating in the smart housing program are required to achieve a 1-star rating. So again, that idea being that affordable housing should also be affordable to operate, healthy to live in. Waterloo Terrace, featured here, was developed by Foundation Communities and is an example of one of these projects. Foundation Communities is a long-term owner, operator of their projects, so they value not only the short but also the long-term benefits of a rated property, and they went far above that 1-star smart housing requirement, earning a 4-star rating here. The property is deeply energy efficient. It includes a 212 kW rooftop solar array. This helps, as I said, keep those utilities affordable for their low-income residents. 20% of the units serve households at 30% of MFI or less. All of the units serve households below 50% of median family income. Other strategies they included here. So the internet is used today to gain employment, search for housing, pay bills, and can even potentially be used to manage our home energy use. So access to the internet is important, but maybe not always economically affordable for the type of folks that are in these housing developments. So they included a computer lounge with free internet access to provide all of their residents access to that internet and everything it can provide without the financial burden of paying for their own computer or internet service. They also considered accessibility. A lot of the population for this project has some sort of mobility impairment. They find that in their population, that level is much higher than the general population. And so that was a big consideration. They had over, I think, 15 feet of slope from one side of the project site to the other. And rather than sticking an elevator in a corner somewhere, they decided to celebrate an accessible path through the courtyard. So the whole courtyard is designed around this sort of circuitous accessible path, so that that is really so featured and accessible to everybody. It doesn't matter your mobility restrictions. Finally, I also want to talk about innovation. All of our ratings have companion innovation guides. We update those more frequently than we do the main ratings. The main ratings, we're on about a 3 to 4 year cycle of when we update those. The innovation guides, we can update much more frequently than that. And they allow us to reward sustainability measures that might be very project specific. They might reflect in new policies or programs that have been developed in between those rating updates, or they might reflect a new or emerging technology. So we have innovation points that we've written up, or other project teams have proposed and we've approved in those guides, and then we also put guidance for teams to propose their own. We learn from as much from our customers and the projects that are being designed as they do from us. So many of the new measures that get introduced into the main body of the rating initially started out as measures in the innovation guide. Oftentimes those points then move to basic requirements and then eventually into code as well. So it becomes a cycle. And I think that is about what I had for you. And so at this point, I thought we could open it up for questions. Question? There we go. Right. Not seeing any questions in the panel.
Okay. We're just sending out a reminder. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A pane, and we can get those over to Heidi.
Yeah.
It looks like we do have one question.
Okay.
How can consultants get on an AEGB projects? How can consultants get on projects?
That is a great question. A lot of it, Once you get on one, it gets easier, I think. So we do offer a green building professionals directory where we list everybody that has worked with us successfully through a rating process. You have to maintain it. I think for commercial and multifamily projects, we ask that you either have something active going with us, or you're rating a project at least once every 3 years. For single family, it's every 2 years. If you are working in any capacity with a project that's going through a rating process, then we always suggest making sure that the project team adds you to our online rating system where we administer the projects, and that way we know that you worked on the project, and then you become eligible to be listed in that green building professionals directory. Another place that we have seen folks get some exposure is by being registered with us to provide energy code testing. So we maintain a list of folks who can do the code required testing, which is also, we then include that testing requirement at a higher threshold for the ratings. So getting on that list can also be a help. I don't know if that helps. Other questions?
Okay, well, it looks like we don't have any further questions in the chat. Oh, go ahead, go.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for your presentation, Heidi.
Yeah.
That was excellent. And I have a semi-related question, more related to my field of research as well. So have you been seeing any affordable housing or projects related to helping low and medium income communities coming through these rating standards, or is that something that's still in, you're considering how to do it?
So yes, the way I would actually say that at least in terms of that multifamily sector, affordable housing represents a lot of what we work with. In part, as I said, the city provides that incentive through the Smart Housing Program where we give fee waivers for affordable housing. That often works in concert with HUD funding for affordable housing. So the way that affordable housing puts their funding together, there's a fair number of different programs that are incentivizing different levels of green building or energy efficiency. And so we end up working with a lot of those projects. The city is, we've seen our housing costs skyrocket in the last few years. That is coming down a bit now. So affordable housing at all and in general has been difficult. So that's something that the city's just struggling with in generically speaking. The other piece of affordable housing is you have two different sectors. You have developers that build the housing, but then they sell it and they don't own and operate it. Their tolerance for payback periods and the amount of thought or consideration they have for whether or not residents are going to be able to afford their utility bills is a lot different than groups like Foundation Communities who are building the property, but then they're holding on to it forever. So it's in their best interest to keep those utility bills low so that residents can afford those bills. And in some cases, foundation communities is paying the bills, and so you don't have as much of a split incentive, and you have you just have a longer term mindset in terms of how these things pay themselves back over time.
Nice, thank you.
Well, if there are no other questions, did you want me to bring up, I can share my screen again if you wanted me to bring up the Denver event?
Yep, that would be great. Thank you.
Yep. Bring it up a little bit on me. There we go. Okay. Do this. There you go. I don't know if Gokul or Lori, you wanted to speak to this?
Yes, I will. I'm gonna just go ahead and share my screen actually. So on your screen, you should see the slide about our SimBuild conference that is happening in May of 2024. This marks the 20th anniversary of the first SimBuild conference, and we are super excited to be hosting the event this year in Denver. SimBuild is the premier US venue for sharing cutting-edge research in building performance simulation. Some of the themes included are climate resilience and forecasting, intelligent building operations, workflows and simulation case studies, simulation technologies and applications, and human factors. We will do a call for oral presentations and panel discussions in January of 2024. And we do encourage everyone to go out to our website to get the latest information about our upcoming conference. Okay, and with that, Heidi, I do not see any further questions for you at this time. So just want to thank you for presenting today's webinar. We really appreciate your participation. And want to thank everyone for joining us today. For those of you watching on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you'd like to follow up with us, please feel free to reach out at admin@IBPSA-US. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.